the reality of the world, people. If you're watching this, you may not know this, so sit down and pay attention. Yin and yang, old Chinese philosophy, joy and pain, light and dark. There is no up without down. There's no such thing as permanent happiness, because then it's not happiness, is it? You only feel happiness because you felt sad. You need the polarity to even experience it. This is what people don't understand. People are going through life going, I deserve to be happy all the time. You're not a child who has, a 2-year-old who got a toy at Christmas. You're a grown-up. You've got responsibilities. You have things you need to do. You have pressure. You have commitments to fulfill. You're not going to be permanently happy all of the time. There's going to be times you feel a bit pissed off.
I certainly do believe that happiness as a man, I can only talk for myself, but my happiness is derived from having this massive ego, which I've proved. Look, there's a lot of people with egos who are jackasses because they ain't done shit. But when Mike Tyson in his prime, everyone goes, who has an ego? Duh, it's Mike fucking Tyson in his prime. How are you not gonna have an ego? You're from the projects, you just fucked everyone up and you got billions of dollars. Like, I like that. And I think that most men, if they want to feel happier, they need to give themselves a reason to brag about shit. And they're going to start to feel a little bit happier. So maybe it's just me, venting. I love to go online and brag. I certainly do. I love to buy a new car and go and say, look, third Lambo. Ha, I'm so rich. Ha, ha, ha. It makes me, part of me enjoys that. And if that inspires people, then good. I absolutely should inspire people. Just like when the guy in the Ferrari drove past me and on my way to college, he inspired me. He pissed me off, but he inspired me at the same time. So, if my bragging inspires people, I absolutely and utterly encourage that. It certainly should inspire people.
Happiness is a super interesting, and shut me up if I'm talking too much, but happiness to me is a super interesting concept, because when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? They're like, what do you mean? It's like, who told you should be happy all the time without working for it? Happiness is at the top of a mountain somewhere. You ain't been anywhere. You haven't even climbed it. You haven't even got out of your house. Who tells you? Only Western society has told you should be happy permanently without reason all the time. That's not natural. No one, I don't think you should be happy. You're not happy, why? Well, you're fat and you're lazy, you don't do shit. So yeah, when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? And we're all adults here. This infantile mindset that we're all supposed to be like we were when we were 3 years old, and something shiny, laugh all the time, run around in circles, a cardboard box. We're grown-ups and we have responsibilities and we have problems and we have pressure, and you don't necessarily have to be happy to perform, especially if you're a man. Like women have this, I guess to a degree they're born lucky. Women have this mindset where people expect women to be happy. Women need to be happy. But as a man, you have a burden of performance. As a man, you shouldn't be waking up going, how do I get happy? As a man, you wake up and say, okay, how do I perform? And happiness will come at the end of the performance anyway. But if your number one goal as a man, if your number one mission in life is just to be happy, that's going to be an extremely vaporous existence, and you're not going to be a man of substance. The men of substance out there are not necessarily happy people. Mike Tyson wasn't happy when he was smashing people's faces in. That's not how you get there. You don't get there being happy. It's just a complete, the whole mindset, the whole idea that, we all need to be happy all the time is the reason you have men on the streets taking drugs, looking for a quick fix because they don't want to do any real work to get any genuine fulfillment. So they end up shooting drugs, like we were talking about earlier, running around being fools.
The happiest men have still got that drive and that goal to conquer the world one way or another. And the most unhappy men are the men who don't have that goal, because they're told it's wrong to think that way. It's wrong to try and conquer. No, it's not. Humans, and especially males, since the dawn of human time, have been programmed to conquer the world. This is all we've ever done. And this is why I was so obsessed with kickboxing. This is why I'm so obsessed with money. Before I had any money, I thought $1 million was a lot of money. As soon as you get $1 million, you realize it's fucking nothing. Then you get 10 and you go, okay, that's a bit, but there's boats out there that cost 500. I can't afford one of them. If you want to really conquer the world, you need more and more and more. This is the natural instinct of men.
I say this all the time. You should never adopt the thinking of someone who is sad. And most people who are out here giving their life advice, if you sit there and go, are you happy? Well, yeah, I'm pretty happy. You're on antidepressants, or you were depressed last year, or you're talking about, most of these people giving advice out, you wouldn't even want to be them. So why would you listen to them? I'm not going to listen to anybody unless they're happier than me. Otherwise, I'm never going to listen, So yeah, it's being rooted out by the mainstream because they want all of us as slaves. They want us as slaves.
People who are in charge of the world need people to clean their cars and build their boats. Slaves.
This modern obsession with happiness is the number one problem with the world. Because I really don't believe humans were ever evolved to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Were we? Where? Tell me. You're the expert, bro. Where did it come? Where did it come in our timeline that we were supposed to be happy all the time?
No,
Where's that coming?
I agree with you. I don't think happiness is the goal. I think fulfillment is. And I think following your purpose and all the way through is what's going to give you fulfillment. I think that's the highest thing in life. I don't put too much stock in happiness. Contentment, maybe.
You can look around and be like, look, I have a good life. And you're right. You can be very satisfied with what you have. But to believe that as an adult, as a full-grown man, you're going to feel constant happiness like you're a 3-year-old child is asinine. And all these people who are constantly complaining about how they feel probably don't have a spectrum of emotions much different to mine. The difference is I don't sit around and cry about it because I don't live that kind of life. I don't have that kind of conditioning in my mind. I don't give a shit how I feel. I have things to do.
But it's also the way you were raised. And maybe if you were raised in a different way, you might be different and you might have a different relationship to your emotions. Is that?
Yeah, if I was raised as a pussy, I'm sure I would be a pussy. but I never was. And that's what most of these men are. I'm being honest. When people come to me, I feel this way. You're a pussy. Oh, but I feel. Who gives a fuck how you feel? I'm about to break into your house, strangle your wife to death. Who gives a fuck how you feel? Like, your emotion has nothing to do with the harsh reality of this world. You're either successful or you're not. Life is binary. You either win or you lose. You survive or you don't. These people are so obsessed with themselves and how they feel.
As a man, there is no easy life. If you're looking for an easy life, you should have been a girl. You made a mistake.
Yep.
Your life is not about being easy. Your life is not about being happy. Your life is always going to be difficult. All of the pain you feel, all of the sadness you feel, you're supposed to feel as a man, and you have two effective binary choices. You either go through the suffering and go through the trauma and go through the hardship it takes to be a man of value, or you suffer eternity as a nobody. And being invisible, I would argue, is almost worse. You can have a very stress-free life if you work in Starbucks. You don't care about the Starbucks once you clock off. You're not at work at the time. You go home, you play video games, and you exist until you die. That's stress-free, but you have to suffer being a nobody. Alternatively, you can go out there into the world, try and implement your mark on the world, work hard, try to get rich, more money, more problems. You can try and start a business, the stress of that. You can lose your girlfriend because all you're doing is working. This is a new level of stress, a new level of trauma, but at least you'll be a somebody at the end of it. There's two ways to suffer. You either suffer to become a somebody, or you suffer as a perpetual and forever nobody.